Inglewood, California, just a few miles from Los Angeles International Airport. From above, it looks like a giant silver wave frozen in the middle of the city. From the ground, it feels less like a stadium and more like a spaceship. This is SoFi Stadium, home of the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers. Price tag? Around $5.5 billion. That makes it the most expensive stadium ever built in the world. Today, we're going to see why this place costs more than some entire skyscraper projects and how one man decided to build the NFL's most insane home field almost entirely with his own money. Where SoFi Stadium actually is. Most people say it's in LA, but technically SoFi Stadium is in Inglewood, a city just south of Los Angeles, right next to LAX. The stadium sits on the old site of the Hollywood Park horse racing track, a huge piece of land that was basically a blank canvas. The owner of the Rams, Stan Kroenke, bought the land and decided not just to build a stadium, but to build an entire sports and entertainment district around it. The 70,000-plus seat stadium itself, a concert venue, office buildings, retail and restaurants, parks, lakes, and plazas. So when people say SoFi Stadium cost $5.5 billion, they're really talking about the stadium, the massive underground work, and the surrounding development needed to make it all function. The roof that isn't really a roof. One of the first things you notice about SoFi Stadium is the roof. It doesn't look like a traditional roof. It looks like a huge, transparent, wavy canopy floating above the stadium, the outdoor plazas, and a separate performance venue. That roof is made of a material called ETFE, basically a super strong, transparent plastic that lets in natural light but blocks heat and can be lit up like a giant screen at night. A few crazy facts. The roof structure covers about 1 million square feet. Parts of it are open on the sides, so technically the stadium is considered an open-air building. Because it's open, the NFL allows the league's rules for outdoor games to apply, even though fans are sitting under a roof. Building that canopy wasn't just about looks. It had to be engineered to survive earthquakes, heavy winds, and the occasional California rainstorm, all while spanning a huge distance with almost no internal columns. That alone added hundreds of millions of dollars to the cost. The giant Oculus screen. Inside, hanging like a halo over the field, is one of SoFi Stadium's most iconic features, the infinity screen, also called the Oculus. It's not your normal scoreboard. It's a double-sided 4K video board that circles the entire field. It weighs around 2.2 million pounds, almost 1,000 metric tons. It has more than 70,000 square feet of LED panels. Fans in the lower bowl see the outside of the ring. Fans in the upper decks see the inside. No matter where you sit, the screen is basically in your face. The sound system is actually built into it as well, with speakers aimed at each section. Engineering-wise, this thing is insane. It had to be hung from the roof structure, balanced perfectly, and wired with enough power and data cables to run a small TV station by itself. Again, more cost, more complexity, more only in LA energy. Why it's so expensive? The hidden stuff. It's easy to point at the roof and the screen and say, okay, that must be expensive, but a huge part of the $5.5 billion price tag comes from things you don't see. One, digging into the ground. Because SoFi is so close to LAX, there were strict height limits. The stadium couldn't be too tall or it would interfere with flight paths. So instead of building up, they dug down. The field and lower levels are sunk about 100 feet below ground level. That meant massive excavation, retaining walls, dealing with groundwater and soil stability. It's like building a stadium inside a giant bowl you first had to carve out of the earth. 2, earthquakes. This is California. You can't build anything this big without serious seismic engineering. SoFi sits on huge base isolators and reinforced foundations designed to let the structure move safely during a quake. Every beam, joint, and column has to be overbuilt, and that adds a lot of steel, concrete, and cost. 3, surrounding infrastructure. It's not just the stadium. New roads and access points, utility lines and drainage, landscaping, lakes and public areas. The whole site is designed to be an entertainment district, not just a football box. All of that shows up in the final bill. Who paid for all this? Here's one of the craziest parts of the story. Unlike some stadiums where taxpayers are forced to pay huge amounts, SoFi Stadium is mostly privately financed. The main person behind it is Stan Kroenke, owner of the Rams, who also owns Arsenal in the Premier League and other sports teams. Estimates vary, but it's widely reported that Kroenke personally financed most of the $5+ billion cost through his company and private money. That means huge risk on one businessman, huge potential reward if the stadium and district succeed. Of course, the stadium does get naming rights money from SoFi, the financial tech company, revenue from tickets, suites, concessions, parking, income from concerts, college games, and other events. But still, it's one of the boldest private bets in sports infrastructure history. What happens inside? More than football. Yes, SoFi is home to the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers. It hosted Super Bowl 56 in 2022, the College Football Playoff National Championship, big concerts like The Weeknd, Taylor Swift, and others, pro wrestling events, soccer friendlies, and more. And it's scheduled to play a huge role in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, including the opening and closing ceremonies and some Olympic events and matches. From the NFL's point of view, SoFi is more than a stadium. It's a flex, a showpiece for TV broadcasts and international events. When cameras fly over before the game and show that roof, that lake, that plaza with fans, it's free advertising for the league and the city. Is it actually good for fans? So, $5.5 billion later, what's it like to sit in? Fans say pros. The roof keeps sun and rain off, but you still feel like you're outside. The seats have pretty good sight lines, even in higher levels. The video board is so massive you never miss a replay. The concourses are wide with lots of food, bars, and hangout spaces. Cons: ticket prices can be brutal, especially for big games. Parking and food are expensive, like most LA things turned up to 11. But that's the trade-off. You're not just paying for a game. You're paying for the experience of spending hours inside a futuristic football spaceship. Why this stadium matters. SoFi Stadium is more than concrete, glass, and a giant TV. It's a sign of where modern sports are going. Teams aren't just teams, they're entertainment brands. Stadiums aren't just buildings, they're anchors for entire real estate projects. Billionaires aren't just buying franchises, they're building cities inside cities to control the whole ecosystem: tickets, food, shopping, media, and more. At $5.5 billion, SoFi is the ultimate example of this. It could influence how future stadiums are designed, how much cities and owners are willing to spend, how sports, concerts, and massive events are packaged for fans and TV. Whether you think it's an incredible achievement or an insane amount of money to spend on football, SoFi Stadium is proof that in modern America, the line between sports, business, and spectacle has almost completely disappeared. It's not just a place to watch a game. It's a $5.5 billion monument to what happens when sports meet Hollywood, and money is no object.